This is the AMDM, your quick morning podcast full of Memphis news. I'm Natalie Van Gundy. Today is Tuesday, August 18th. 4 people have been selected as finalists to fill the judges' seats for 2 new Shelby County criminal courts. The finalists include 2 attorneys from the Shelby County District Attorney's Office, a lawyer with the local U.S. Attorney's Office, and the Tennessee Innocence Project legal director. The new courts will hear violent crime cases like rape and most homicides, with one big exception. In other judicial news, women now make up a third of the Mississippi Supreme Court's justices after a North Mississippi woman was appointed yesterday. If you've ever wanted to feel the action during a movie, Memphis Malco will soon have a treat for you. 2 theaters are rolling out D-Box Technologies motion seating, which pitches, sways, and vibrates in synchronization with movie scenes on the big screen. But no worries if rocking and rolling your way through a movie sounds like a recipe for motion sickness. You can adjust the intensity of the seats or even turn it off. The Hampton Inn next to Baptist East is now in the hospital's hands. The hotel closed more than a week ago, and its owners sold the property to Baptist Memorial Healthcare for nearly $6 million. The hospital system plans to demolish the building, starting with the pool, to add 2 extra acres to Baptist Memorial Hospital's campus. Now it's time for a deep dive into one of the week's biggest stories with Mary Casciola. But stay with us after that for more of the day's news.
In early July, the new director of the Memphis Public Libraries announced they would no longer partner with Friends of the Library, a local fundraising group. The decision also meant that the Friends of the Library fundraisers, like the spring and fall used book sales, the library's online Amazon store, and the used bookstore at the Benjamin L. Hook Central Library, were all on hiatus. The used bookstore has since reopened, but the library and the Friends group remain at odds, especially about $800,000. I'm Mary Casciola. Joining us today to talk about all of this is reporter Noah McLean. Noah, thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, so I think we should start with who are the Friends and what is the difference between the Friends of the Library and the Memphis Library Foundation?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can brief us on that.
Yeah, so Friends is this organization. They've been around for about 60 years. It's a volunteer-based group, so they are supplying volunteers for certain things the library does, like their semi-annual book sales, the online Amazon storefront, sorting book donations that get taken in. They have members who pay monthly dues.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. Okay. Very nice.
And so a little bit different than the Memphis Library Foundation, which is just basically overseeing a trust for the library.
Okay.
They are a smaller group. Memphis Library Foundation, only about 7 people work for them as compared to Friends of the Library, which is this huge sprawling group. Memphis Library Foundation mostly helps with acquisition, so getting stuff into the collection for the library. They also make grants available for the library.
It feels like they are maybe larger dollars.
Yes.
The foundation is like larger donations, larger dollars, grants, as you said, whereas like it sounds like the Friends is like here, the $5 donors maybe.
Yes,
maybe that's a way
definitely.
to sort
and
of
Friends
talk about it.
Has made grants available to the library in the past, and it is something they do, but
right. Okay.
Memphis
Perfect.
Library Foundation is like the big dog.
Well, I kind of can't believe that we haven't talked about this story yet because it's sort of been going on since July. And we were sort of just talking about it in the office. One of our colleagues called it the most local news story ever. But let's go back a little bit. So the library has a new director. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So Memphis Public Libraries has a new director, Eric Harris. He was appointed in February 9th, I think, to be exact. So yeah, he is pretty new to the position and he's got a heck of a job in front of him.
Exactly. Like, I mean, maybe it's just coincidence that this happened now. We don't really know, but definitely the library's under new leadership. And then what happened in July with these 2 groups? Like, what's the controversy?
Definitely. So I think we can, if you kind of want to go back a little bit to January, that's when this MOU expired.
Okay.
And so between about, March to May is when these negotiations were taking place. On July 8th, Eric Harris sent out a letter to Friends of the Library, basically saying that we're only going to have one fundraising partner now, and it's going to be the Memphis Library Foundation. And then on that same day, he sent a letter out to volunteers of the library, employees, basically everyone in the library system, saying like, we're only going to have one fundraising arm now, and it's going to be Memphis Library Foundation. And
so at that point, were the Friends supposed to be sort of like subsumed by the Memphis Library Foundation, like to become part of that group, or how was it going to work with just the one?
The idea was the city was going to basically take control of the Memphis Library Fund as well as any funds left over from Friends of the Library. Okay. So things that came from sale of city property is one of the big things that they said they want.
So it wouldn't really have been like outside groups. It really, everything would be coming through the city at that point.
Yes.
That was the idea. Okay. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine this whole thing as a controversy because it is hard to imagine a nicer group of people than people who volunteer at book sales and to like raise money for libraries, right? I mean, I don't know them personally. It just feels like, oh, people who care about libraries just seem like nice people.
Yeah. And that's something I've run into every stop of the way. I mean, just the people I quoted in the story, for every one of them, there's 4 more people that I spoke to off the record or on background. And all of them just came back to this central idea of, at the end of the day, we're helping folks who use our public libraries.
Right.
And so I think
which are so important.
A through line through this,
Do we have a sense of, like, they're going through the negotiations, they're trying to get an MOU, they're trying to figure out how to make this work in a new way. Do we have a sense of why the groups haven't been able to come to some sort of agreement? If everyone's saying, like, we're all on the same side.
Yeah, it comes down to control of funds. Friends of the Library has about $800,000 under its control right now, according to recent documents. The city says that we control those funds because those funds were donated to serve the library. So
in our name, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. Friends of the Library is saying that, no, you don't control the funds. We are an independent 501c3. Right. People donate to us to do with the money that lines up with our mission, which is to support Friends of the Library or support the Memphis Public Libraries. I'm sorry.
And you mentioned documents. And those documents, can you tell us a little bit about those? Because those are essentially emails from the two sides. Is that right?
Yes, emails and a mix of letters. So the city and an attorney for Friends of the Library have been kind of communicating back and forth since negotiations fell through. So yeah, those documents I got, one of them is, from Eric Harris and Chief Legal Officer Tanera Gibson from the city, basically saying like, hey, we've tried to come together and make this negotiation or make this MOU work. It's not, so we are going to no longer be fundraising partners with you.
Right. So at that point, potentially, does Friends go away? Do we know?
No.
We don't know.
Friends is definitely still here, definitely still wants to be involved with the library. For example, one of those documents that I got is an email from the Friends lawyer to the city saying, like, what is the legal basis for you demanding, I don't know if demanding would be the right word, but asking for control of these funds.
Right.
And that is something the city still has not responded to yet, at least publicly or to me.
Right, as far as we know.
Yes.
Right.
As far as we know.
Do we have a sense that this is this a national trend? Is this something that's happening in other places?
Yeah. So I was told that this is a national trend. I spoke to Memphis Library Foundation's president, Christine Weinrich, for the first story I did on this. And she said, yeah, it's just following a national trend of consolidation when it comes to who controls funds for public goods.
Right. I mean, I can definitely understand how the city would want to have the donations that have been made to help the city libraries. I can understand how they would want to have those under their control. Okay, so there's $800,000 that's still sort of sitting out there that they're sort of legal wrangling on. What happens now? Do we know? What are the next steps?
Yeah, next steps. So there's two kind of paths here. One of them is the peaceful, everyone's happy path, where
great, let's go that one.
Yes, essentially the library's like, okay, you can keep the money, continue on this path of just supplying volunteers and making sure that these programs that Friends runs or other fundraising opportunities just keep going the same.
Sure.
The other one is escalation, and that would involve the Attorney General's Office of Public Interest because they regulate nonprofits in the state. So they could possibly step in and be like, hey, either yes, this money does belong to the city, or no, this money belongs to the nonprofit, and they have to decide what to do with it.
Right. This is a very interesting controversy. Maybe controversy is the wrong word, but it's interesting because it feels like the Friends has been around for a long time.
60 years.
60 years. Okay, so that's a pretty long time. So it is interesting to be like, oh, we're going to change this up. And we don't seem to really have a good sense of why we're changing it up other than, this sort of like trend of consolidation.
Yes.
So I don't know. Just seems like a very local story.
Very local.
And you are going to keep following it.
Oh,
yes?
absolutely. Yes.
Perfect. Well, Noah, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
If you are listening in, stay tuned. We will have more news next. And if you are watching this via YouTube, we will be back tomorrow.
Raymond James and Associates has filed a lien against the downtown Memphis office tower that used to bear its name. Andy Ashby says it's a move which could further complicate the building's redevelopment.
The Florida-based financial service company is seeking more than $13 million from the owners of 50 North Front Street, formerly known as Raymond James Tower. New York-based developer Jacob Sofer, operating as 50 North Front Street LLC, owns the more than 300,000 square foot office tower and has been working to redevelop it, most recently as apartments. Raymond James is in a long-running dispute with Sofer over the company's former lease in the property. The two parties already have 2 lawsuits pending in Tennessee. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Andy Ashby.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation held a grand opening Friday for the Memphis Veterans Village. Noah McLean says special guests include Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and local elected leaders.
The former hotel at 7060 Riverdale Bend Road was transformed into more than 100 units of affordable housing for veterans. This includes services such as job training and employment assistance, education assistance, financial counseling, legal advocacy, mental health counseling, and addiction recovery services. Lee told reporters that Memphis was picked because Tennessee has more than 100,000 veterans, about 20% of whom are combat veterans. Shelby County has more than 50,000 veterans, the highest of any Tennessee county. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Noah McLean.
That's the AMDM for this Tuesday, August 18th. I'm Natalie Van Gundy. Find links to all of the stories mentioned in this episode in the podcast description. Listen and subscribe to this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or on the Daily Memphian's website. You can also hear us on WYXR 91.7, where our local news stories air every weekday throughout the day. Sign up for our breaking news alerts and our many weekly newsletters we offer by visiting dailymemphian.com/email. Thanks for joining us, and start your day here again tomorrow.